Hello, I am Liam from Lazarus Personal Training, the founder of the No Shoe Crew, and this is Getting Up in Lockdown, a video series where I'm covering my route back into training from having a period where I stopped. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about two things. I'm going to talk one about fatigue and the fatigue that I think a lot of people are experiencing at the moment, and two, I'm going to cover a little postural assist that I started doing in this session and that I think might be quite helpful for you and needs very minimal equipment. Today is week 2, technically, of me getting back into the swing of things. I'm repeating a workout that I did last week. If you saw last week's video, you know that I was doing squats and push-ups and I only had 5 minutes on the timer. And I said that was probably a little bit, or it wasn't enough. But today, I flipped that around and I did a couple of things differently. One, I added 5 extra minutes onto it, so I did 10 minutes of volume. I added a 5 kilogram dumbbell to my squats. Originally, I had those in as counter squats where I had my arms out in front of me. I realised that was a bad decision when I'm doing push-ups and I'm doing squats. If I was going into that counterbalance squat, I'm just going to fatigue out my shoulders a little bit more, so I turned that into a goblet squat. I also started with push-ups today. So I started with my weaker exercise so then I could fatigue that out first, then go into my squats and give my push-ups a little bit more time to recover. I found the 10 minutes worked a lot better than the 5 minutes. I found I built up that fatigue a little bit more, and I'll definitely be feeling that tomorrow. So that's an improvement over last week. To go into my first point about today, not so much now, but when I was coming into last week, I found that fatigue was a big issue, and it's something that I've talked about a lot with people that I work with or just people that I have general conversations with. I think in this moment in time where we're all in a lockdown period, fatigue is setting in just as a general a lot more, and I think a lot more people are becoming aware that they are fatigued. And I think there's a couple of reasons for this. I think one, if you're someone like me that's training quite a lot or was training quite a lot, I was doing 4 resistance sessions a week, I was training wrestling on a Saturday, I was up and active for my job, I was doing quite a lot. To go from that to doing not a lot at all, to having 2-3 weeks off pretty much, that's where I think fatigue sets in. I think that's where rest becomes very prevalent. Once you stop, it's like stalling a car. If you've been going, you stall the car, you've got to start over again. You've got to go from 0 miles an hour up to whatever speed you were going at, hopefully something within the speed limit. So I think that's a way to think about fatigue. I also think that if you've been going to the gym and you've been doing 3 sets of 10 or working with weights where the volume, the amount of reps and sets that you're doing is lower, to come into a home workout where you're doing more bodyweight exercises and that volume is higher, you're doing more reps of those exercises, I think that's a reason for fatigue too. And I think that's something that people might not be recognising, that change of stimulus also brings on a fatigue. And I just think generally there's something about being sat for the majority of your time throughout our lives. Whatever sort of work you do, if you're going out to work, that means that you're getting steps in, that means that you're out, you're active, you're having to converse with people, you're doing work, your mind's going over. It means that there's a balance between work and rest. We're now in a period where that balance is completely shifted, and for a lot of us our workload is completely down and our rest time is completely up. It means that the body's just sat in a constant state of rest, and it means that when we have to work again, the body goes, whoa, what is happening here? So I think that's important to recognise. It's important to know that because that balance has shifted, you may end up feeling more fatigued, and it's not particularly anything that you're doing wrong. It's just a case of the circumstances that we're in. That is going to flip over when we go back into work, because what's going to happen is that suddenly we're expected to do a load of work and not get a lot of rest. And I guarantee once we get back into work, I bet 2-3 weeks down the line there's going to be a lot of people that are going to suddenly get ill because the body doesn't know how to combat that. So be prepared for that. Make sure you get enough water in, make sure you're getting your right food in, and make sure in this period in time you keep exercising. My second point is something that I sort of stumbled across when I was training, and this is a little postural assist that I've done previously a good number of years back, but I thought, let me implement that today. So while doing the red resistance shoulder rocker, I was looking around the room that I'm in, and I noticed that I've got this little, what is it? Stack? Shelving, a shelving unit. I've got a little shelving unit, and I've got a yellow mini band. So what I did was I attached the yellow band onto the shelving unit, and I placed that around the back of my head, and I sort of leant back into it. What I found with that was it just gave me a little bit of an assist. It gave me a little bit of a mental cue to keep my head back into place. After watching my sets last week, what I noticed was that I was dropping forward, a little bit of like a pigeon sort of position where my head was dropping really far forward as I was coming up into the up into the lat raises and up into that front press, or into the front raise. So with that band, it allowed me to keep my head back. It made me think about keeping that head back and keep a better posture. And actually, I found that my shoulders got a lot more work out of it than last week. So my point with that is, that might be something for you to think about. One, do you know where your head position is when you're doing shoulder movement? Do you dive forward? Because if you do, you might find it helpful to attach a yellow band or a red band to something so you can sit back into it, or just have your head placed against something like a wall so you can keep that position right. With that, I'm not saying this is a long-term fix. Obviously, you can't walk around with your head attached to a band, but it's a short-term fix for a couple of weeks to think about your positioning, to then take that band away, to then see if you can maintain that position. In the same way that if you're doing squats with a raised heel, we need to take that raise out every now and again to make sure we can squat without that heel raise and it's not a detriment to our squat pattern. So my question for you today is, can we change our posture? So this is quite a loaded question, but what I want you to think about is, can we actually change our position for good? Have you gone through an experience where you've gone from one posture into another posture? Yes, we can go from good posture to bad posture over time, but can we take that bad posture back into good posture? Or is it just a case of we make do with what we've got and work within the realm that we're in? Again, a loaded question. I want you to think about it. I certainly think about it on a regular basis. With that, that's everything I've got for today. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like, please share it, maybe subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. I'm actually finding that I'm into quite a nice flow of working out again, and I'm actually looking forward to getting back into a habit of it and getting back into a routine of uploading content. So I will see you soon, and hopefully by the end of this we'll have everybody strong together.